Welcome to the HFY Tales channel. Remember to like and subscribe if you like the story. Enjoy and take care.
David jolted awake, his heart racing as he struggled to make sense of his surroundings. The last thing he remembered was walking home from work, tired after a long day. Now he found himself lying on a cold, metallic table, surrounded by strange lights that flickered overhead. The air was heavy with an unfamiliar scent, a mix of sterile chemicals and something floral, yet alien. As he blinked against the harsh illumination, David's eyes widened. He was in what appeared to be an alien laboratory. The walls were adorned with luminous screens displaying odd symbols and images, showcasing bizarre biological structures that resembled nothing he'd ever seen. "Specimen X is regaining consciousness," chimed a melodic voice from somewhere nearby. He turned his head, unease unfurling within him. Before him stood a group of figures, swirling in and out of focus. 3 alien girls, each with striking features, hovered beside him, their skin shimmering in various shades of green. Their hair flowed like liquid silver, framing their delicate faces and enhancing their otherworldly beauty. David couldn't help but feel a mix of fear and awe as he took in their vibrant eyes, which seemed to glow with intelligence and curiosity. Who are you?" David stammered, trying to push himself up, only to be met with a gentle, yet firm hand that pressed him back down. "Stay calm, Specimen X. You have nothing to fear." The girl closest to him spoke. Her name tag read Nora. "We are scientists from the planet Zyphoria, and we have brought you here for research." David's mind raced. Research. Scenarios flooded his imagination, abductions, experiments, and a deep-seated dread settled in his stomach. "Research? What do you want from me?" Nora stepped closer, her expression softening. "We wish to study human biology. We are fascinated by your species, especially regarding reproduction and genetic diversity. It is vital for our studies to understand how your kind mates, so we can enhance our own understanding of interspecies interactions." David swallowed hard. The word mate echoed in his mind, bringing a rush of conflicting emotions. "You mean you're going to experiment on me?" "Not in the way you think," another scientist chimed in, her voice almost musical. "We have never encountered a human before. Our research is to learn, not to harm. But you must cooperate." "Cooperate?" He shook his head, memories of sci-fi horror flicks flashing before his eyes. "And if I refuse?" Nora's gaze deepened, a mix of regret and empathy reflected in her large eyes. "We do not intend to cause you harm. In fact, you could help us bridge a cultural gap that has existed for centuries. Together, we could discover something beautiful, an understanding between our races." David felt a mingling of fear and intrigue. Maybe there was a chance to learn more about these beings, the world beyond his own. But could he trust them? As they helped him off the table and into the strange, brightly lit room, David cast one last glance back at the table of experiments, and took a deep breath. This was only the beginning of what promised to be an extraordinary descent into the unknown. David looked around the lab, his senses bombarded by the alien environment. Curved metallic surfaces and screens flared to life with more symbols as he moved further into the space. The alien scientists watched him closely, their large eyes filled with an intensity that made David uncomfortable and, strangely, a little intrigued. Nora took the lead, gesturing toward a sleek console embedded in the wall. "This is our main research area. We have various equipment to study biological processes, gather data, and understand genetic structures." She smiled, though it was a strange, elongated expression due to her alien features. "We're not as scary as we look, I promise." "I'm still waiting to be convinced," David replied, his tone laced with sarcasm, though a part of him was curious about their technology. It looked advanced beyond his wildest dreams. Bioluminescent elements flickered gently, casting a soft light across the room. As he scanned the area, he caught sight of other scientists, each one distinctly different from the others. "I'm Zyla," she said, her voice smooth and soothing. "My focus is on genetic analysis. You'll be amazed by what we can learn together." "What do you want to learn about?" "Human mating?" David asked, feeling a mix of nervousness and curiosity. Isn't that personal? Zyla chuckled softly, her laughter melodic, almost like a song. Personal, yes, but also essential for science. Mating practices can tell us a great deal about the biology, emotions, and social structures of a species. We aspire to create a foundation for understanding. David considered her words. While her scientific enthusiasm was palpable, something in his gut warned him about the implications of such knowledge. "And you really think I can teach you all that?" he questioned, crossing his arms defensively. A third alien joined the conversation. "I'm Lyra," she said, stepping forward with a graceful sway. "What you view as personal is simply data to us. We see value in understanding the facets of your emotions, biology, and—" she hesitated, glancing at the console, "reproductive strategies." "All right, let's pretend I'm intrigued," David said, eyeing them. "Where do we start?" Nora clapped her hands together, her expression brightening. "Wonderful. The first step involves understanding your basic anatomy, physically and biologically. We want to ensure that our methods of inquiry are respectful and informed. Shall we begin with a basic survey of your physiology?" David hesitated but nodded. "Sure, let's get this over with." They moved to another section of the lab, where a reclining chair, reminiscent of an MRI machine, awaited him. "What's that?" David asked, eyeing the strange device warily. "It's a bioscanner," Zyla explained, her demeanor radiating excitement. "It will help us analyze your body's function without invasive procedures. You won't feel a thing." Famous last words, David muttered, but complied as they coaxed him to sit. As he settled into the chair, clamps gently secured his limbs. "This will be painless," Nora reassured him, sliding a glass panel over him. "Just relax. It will take only a minute." David clenched his teeth, uncertainty flooding his mind. As the scanner hummed to life, he focused on their faces. Despite the alien characteristics, he began to see their humanity, the dynamics of curiosity and apprehension reflected in their expressions. They weren't simply scientists. There were dreams and hopes behind their wide eyes. Suddenly, the room filled with a gentle light, displaying a live feed of his vital signs. The scientists cooed in fascination, leaning closer to examine the data with gleeful enthusiasm. "Fascinating. Your heart rate is strong, but you appear to experience elevated levels of stress," Lyra noted, her voice tinted with wonder. "Why is that?" "Oh, maybe it's because I'm in an alien lab and you call me Specimen X," David shot back, unable to hide his sarcasm. Nora's laughter rang out, and for a moment the tension eased. "Fair point. We will need to address that too. Name or title is pivotal in establishing trust. You shall have a unique name while here. How does David X sound?" "Better, at least," he replied, feeling slightly more at ease. "But why not just David? I'm not a subject, I'm a person." Zyla nodded earnestly. "Agreed. From this moment on, we will refer to you as David. It is important to us that you feel comfortable." For the first time, David felt a tiny flicker of hope amidst the strangeness. Perhaps it wouldn't be as terrible as he'd imagined. Maybe there was more to explore here than just the fear of being a test subject. As the scanner completed its readings, David realized that the journey into the unknown was just beginning, and he felt a strange mix of excitement and trepidation course through him. The bioscanner whirred to a halt, the lights dimming slightly as they displayed the results. David leaned forward in his seat, the initial tension fading into a blend of curiosity and apprehension. The three alien scientists huddled closer, their intense focus on the screen revealing his vital statistics. "Your physiological structure is remarkably complex," Zyla said, her voice laced with excitement. "It appears you are fundamentally similar to our species, yet your DNA exhibits unique markers, particularly in your emotional responses." "Emotional responses? Like what?" David queried, shifting uncomfortably in his chair. "Each emotion you experience has a physiological reaction," Lyra explained, her eyes sparkling with intrigue. "Your heart rate rises with stress, but there are also peaks that correspond to other feelings, happiness, excitement, even attraction." David felt the heat rise in his face at the mention of attraction. Okay, but are you telling me you want to study my love life? He scoffed, half joking, yet nervous about their sincere interest. Precisely, Nora exclaimed, her eyes wide. Understanding human relationships, including intimacy, is key to our research. It might even help bridge the gaps between our cultures. Bridge the gaps? David pondered aloud. Have you ever considered that not all humans are comfortable discussing those things? This is a bit invasive, don't you think? Nora's expression faltered, realizing he had a point. We understand your hesitation, but from our perspective, knowledge is the path to understanding. If you were in our place, wouldn't you wish to know more about alien species? Touché, David conceded, sighing. I guess that makes sense. It's just a lot to take in. Nora moved closer, her gaze softening. We want to make this as comfortable as possible for you. Relationships on our planet differ greatly from yours, and we genuinely believe your experiences can help us learn. Reluctantly, he nodded, realizing that resisting them would likely lead to more frustration than cooperation. Okay, I'll give it a shot, but we need to set some rules. I need to know that I'm safe and respected here. Agreed, Zyla said, her tone earnest. We will prioritize your comfort in our studies. This should be a collaborative effort, not one of dominance or control. Feeling empowered, David said, then let's work together. You can ask your questions, and I'll share what I can. Just be prepared for some awkward moments. Awkwardness is expected in the pursuit of knowledge, Lyra said, her golden eyes twinkling with amusement. They spent the next hour discussing David's life back on Earth, his relationships, and his views on love. The more he talked, the more their genuine interest and curiosity became apparent. It felt surprisingly easy to divulge personal stories, almost as if they were friends rather than scientists studying him. As their conversation deepened, David could feel the walls between them beginning to dissolve. The sterile environment of the lab faded as laughter echoed through the room. He didn't foresee becoming too comfortable with his captors, yet he appreciated the warmth they exuded. However, an undercurrent of tension remained, a reminder that this was still an alien environment, and each moment could swing back to examination and analysis. I have a question, David said hesitantly as Nora placed a delicate finger on his hand, urging him to share. How do you guys actually mate? If you want to understand humans, wouldn't it help if I knew more about your cultures? Nora validated his inquiry with a thoughtful gaze. Mating rituals on Zyphoria are deeply entwined with our emotional connections. We engage in a series of bonding ceremonies, which involve intimacy, trust, and shared experiences. It's not simply a biological act, but an emotional journey. Wow, that's beautiful, David replied, his tone earnest. In human culture, it differs widely. Some view it as purely physical, while others incorporate deep emotional connections. Does the emotional aspect enhance the physical experience? Zyla asked, her excitement palpable. Definitely. For many, the feelings of attraction and love heighten the physical aspect of the relationship. It feels more meaningful when emotions are intertwined, David explained, surprised at his own willingness to share this informally. Emotional entwinement, Lyra mused, taking a step back as if her mind was racing through the concepts. This could open up new avenues of understanding. The discussion turned lighter as laughter filled the lab. David delighted in the connection forming between them. With every question, he felt less like Specimen X and more like a collaborator in their research. But even as he enjoyed the budding bond, David couldn't shake the feeling of being a stranger in their world. Then, as if sensing his internal conflict, Nora broke in. David, we understand this may all feel surreal. Would you like to see more of our culture? Perhaps engage with a few of our more traditional rituals? There are protocols we follow when forming relationships, and we'd like to share that with you. Rituals, huh? What does that involve? David asked, intrigued but cautious. We start with a bonding ceremony, a communal gathering to strengthen connections through shared tasks and experiences. It can involve food, music, and even physical challenges, Nora explained, her eyes glinting with excitement. You might find it enlightening. Sounds interesting. I'm in. David replied, gulping down his apprehension. Nora beamed, her excitement contagious. Excellent. We will prepare everything. But remember, the experiences are not solely about you. They're to foster understanding among all of us. As Nora clapped her hands, Zyla and Lyra rushed to the console, inputting data. David watched them with a mix of awe and trepidation. He was stepping into uncharted territory, opening himself to experiences that could be both exhilarating and terrifying. Could he really navigate the differences between their worlds? Would these rituals help him understand their perspective? The possibilities loomed ahead, but he felt a spark of anticipation as he prepared for something extraordinary. The labs buzzed with energy as preparations for the bonding ceremony commenced. David watched in curiosity as the alien scientists gathered materials, pulling shimmeringly colored fabrics from various storage units and arranging them with care. Bright orbs of light danced around the room, creating an atmosphere that felt simultaneously surreal and festive. Are you ready for this? Zyla asked, her voice filled with enthusiasm as she adjusted some of the decorations. This is a significant aspect of our culture. Ready or not, here I go. David replied with a nervous chuckle, his stomach twisted in anticipation. He was both excited and a bit trepidatious about diving deeper into their customs. Nora stepped forward, her expression earnest. Remember, David, this is not just a performance. We encourage you to be honest about your feelings. It is through those vulnerabilities that deeper connections grow. David nodded, absorbing her words. While still somewhat anxious, he felt ready to embrace the experience. Perhaps participating in their rituals would help him understand their culture better and delve deeper into their motivations. As the ceremony began, David was led to a vibrant area within the lab that had been transformed into a sanctuary of alien motifs. Luminescent plants glowed softly in intricate arrangements, bathing the scene in hues of blues and greens. The alien music filled the air, ethereal melodies that blended harmoniously with the flickering lights. Welcome, David, Lyra announced as she presided over the gathering. This ceremony is designed to explore the emotional and personal bonds between species. David surveyed the scene as other scientists from the lab joined, forming a semicircle around him. They all wore traditional Zyphorian attire that accentuated their individuality, shimmering under the ambient lights. Each alien girl radiated confidence and grace, and David suddenly felt small amidst their brilliance. Nora approached him, extending an invitation through a gentle hand gesture. We will begin with an introduction, expressing our feelings through words and actions. It's our way of forging a deeper bond, even in a short time. He took a deep breath, realizing he was about to share not just around this group, but also express parts of himself he hadn't revealed in what felt like ages. I'm honored to be here, David began, his voice tentative. This is all new and a bit overwhelming, but I'm genuinely intrigued by what you all represent. Zyla smiled brightly, her eyes radiating warmth. We appreciate your openness. We look forward to learning from you as much as you learn from us. One by one, the scientists took turns expressing their feelings toward David. Lyra, with her golden eyes shining, spoke of admiration for human resilience. Your species has faced many challenges, yet continues to grow and adapt. It inspires us. David felt a blush creep up to his cheeks at the unexpected compliment. Then it was Nora's turn. In you, I see a bridge between our worlds. Your courage to share your experiences with us allows us to reshape our understanding of emotional depth. He took a moment to gather his thoughts before addressing them again. Thank you for your kindness. And honestly, learning about you all has been eye-opening. You've shown me that even in our differences, there is beauty in shared understanding. As the introductions continued, laughter and light-hearted stories permeated the air, and a wave of unexpected warmth washed over David. He felt a sense of camaraderie forming, lifting some of the weight he had carried since waking up in this alien world. This bonding experience was beginning to feel less like an experiment and more like a genuine connection. Now we will move to the shared experience phase, Lyra announced, her voice lifting the energy in the room. This will involve a playful challenge where we will engage in traditional Zyphorian games that express our skills and teamwork. With that, the atmosphere shifted as the group organized into pairs. David held his breath, a flicker of excitement spurring through him. Nora positioned herself beside him, an encouraging smile on her face. "Ready?" she asked, her enthusiasm infectious. "Absolutely," David replied, feeling a surge of confidence. The first challenge was a game called Luminary Dance, where partners had to balance luminous orbs in a friendly relay. The task required not just coordination, but also an intuitive understanding of their partner's movements. David and Nora dove in, laughter bubbling between them as they fumbled over the orbs, competing against other pairs to keep their orbs floating in the air. As they danced around each other, dodging and weaving through the alien scientists, David found himself acutely aware of Nora's presence. Her playful demeanor and laughter entranced him, each interaction fueling his eagerness and comfort. Midway through the relay, David took a daring leap, catching an orb with a flourish before twirling back to Nora. "Catch me if you can," he challenged, igniting a competitive spark within her. She giggled, sprinting after him with grace. "Oh, I will." The competition unfolded, and soon, David was lost in the moment, the laughter, the playful teasing, the sparkle of the orbs. It felt less like a cultural experiment and more like a celebration of connections being built through shared joy. After several rounds of challenges, David found himself panting and elated, the bonds having solidified among them through mutual enjoyment. He was exhausted yet exhilarated, realizing how quickly he had formed bonds with these alien scientists. As the final challenge concluded, they all gathered again for the closing ceremony of the bonding. David took a moment to reflect, amazed at how much had changed since that disorienting first awakening in the lab. "Well done, everyone," Lyra cheered, her energy infectious. "We have created a beautiful memory today. Each of you has shown strength and openness, allowing us to explore new frontiers of connection." David stepped forward, feeling boldness surge within him. "I want to thank you all for welcoming me into this incredible experience. My world feels so different now after today. I never expected to have this deep a connection in such a short time." Nora reached for his hand, her touch gentle yet firm. "You have taught us more than you can imagine, David. Our journey has only just begun." Looking around at their smiling faces, David knew he was changing. He'd stepped into a chaotic new reality, but he also felt the exhilarating promise of love, friendship, and adventure. Whatever awaited him next, he began to grasp that braving the unknown could lead to unexpected wonders. The bonding ceremony buzzed with excitement as David and the alien scientists basked in the camaraderie they had built. But as the festive atmosphere settled, a new topic began to loom in the air, the subject of mating, which had been creeping into their conversations more often. "Now that we've bonded, it's time to explore the next part of our study," Nora said, her expression serious yet hopeful. "David, we would like to discuss the concept of mating, the emotional and biological processes." "Great, just my luck," David said with a half-smile, still processing how quickly his life had shifted from mundane to extraordinary. "Mating, huh? What exactly do you want to know?" Zyla stepped forward, her intensity palpable. "We want to understand how humans choose their mates and what feelings are involved. This knowledge will bridge our species and help us enhance our own mating rituals." David felt a flutter of unease, but also intrigue. Mating is a complex topic. For many humans, it combines emotional connection, physical attraction, and trust. It differs widely from person to person. "Trust is crucial," Lyra emphasized. "In our culture, mating involves deep emotional bonds. Before we mate, we must form a strong connection, a foundation of trust and understanding." Nora nodded earnestly. "Precisely. The emotional aspect is key. When two beings are attracted to one another, it's not just a physical expression, it's an intertwining of souls." "Sounds poetic," David replied. "But in my world, it can be messy and complicated." "Complicated, yes," Zyla acknowledged. "But that is precisely what we want to study. Your insights can help refine our own understanding. So many of our mating practices lack the emotional depth that makes it meaningful. Interesting, David remarked, feeling drawn into the conversation. You want to learn about human mating to enhance your own? So, what would that entail for you? Nora leaned in, her tone earnest. We hope to adopt elements from your mating practices, emotional vulnerability, shared experiences, even courtship rituals. These can all augment our current methods. There is a beauty to how humans connect. Curiosity swelled within David. And you think I can help with that? From just what I've shared? Yes, they all chorused, their enthusiasm resonating in the air. Okay, let's break it down, David said, gathering his thoughts. Mating begins with attraction, often sparked by physical appearances, but more significantly by chemistry, the intangible connection. From there, partnerships can evolve from casual dating to lifelong commitments. Fascinating, Zyla replied, her eyes gleaming. What are the rituals involved? David chuckled nervously. Well, depending on the culture, it can vary. Sometimes it's as simple as a dinner date, while others might involve grand gestures, like gifts or public displays of affection. Lyra interjected, her curiosity unwavering. What feelings do you experience before mating? David thought for a moment, reminiscing about past relationships. There's often excitement, anticipation, and sometimes fear. Vulnerability can make us feel anxious, but it can also lead to something transcendent. Transcendence. Nora mused softly, her voice a whisper. Do you think our species can achieve that? Absolutely. David's face lit up. When you reach that level of connection with someone, it can feel euphoric, spiritually uplifting. There's an incredible sense of belonging. Belonging, Lyra repeated, absorbing his words. This is essential for our understanding. We want to forge connections that lead to deep emotional mating. Feeling emboldened by their interest, David continued. In terms of the actual act, it's a celebration of that bond, one that blends trust, emotion, and yes, physicality. It's often portrayed romantically in stories and media, but at its core, it's an intimate union of two beings. Intimate union, Zyla echoed, a smile breaking on her face. Such a beautiful summary. Would you be willing to experience one of our mating rituals? David's heart raced at the thought, a mix of excitement and nervousness flooding over him. You mean participate in an alien mating ritual? Yes, Nora replied, her gaze unwavering. We would guide you through the experience, honoring both our cultures and yours. After a moment's contemplation, David nodded slowly. If it can help enhance your understanding, and maybe even lead to something incredible, I'd be open to it. A shared sense of exhilaration lit up the room, their interconnected fates intertwining in that crucial moment. Together, they would take the leap into uncharted territory, wherein the boundaries of their species and the definitions of mating might forever shift. As the echoes of anticipation reverberated through David's thoughts, he knew this was only the beginning. His journey from Specimen X to genuine participant in an alien mating ritual was set to unfold with exhilarating unknowns. The atmosphere in the lab transformed as excitement and nervousness intertwined in the air. David could sense that the time for the Zyphorian mating ritual was drawing near. He felt a mix of anticipation and apprehension. His heart raced at the thought of an intimate connection with these extraordinary beings. As he prepared himself, Nora stepped forward, her presence commanding yet warm. The mating ritual on Zyphoria is a sacred experience, she explained, her voice soothing. We'll start by renewing our bonds from the bonding ceremony before proceeding to the ritual itself. Over the next few minutes, the room filled with the gentle hum of preparation. Zyla and Lyra adorned David with fabrics that shimmered and flowed, each piece representing something fundamental in Zyphorian culture, a symbol of unity, connection, and openness. As Nora adjusted the last piece, she whispered, Remember, this is not just about the physical act. It is about emotions, trust, and shared experiences. We will guide you through every step. David nodded, feeling a rush of exhilaration as he took in their shared commitment to this moment. Then, they led him to a secluded area bathed in soft, iridescent light. The plants emitted a calming glow, while the air hummed with a melody that felt alive, a symphony of nature and emotion. Nora, Zyla, Lyra, I'm honored to share this with you, David said, taking a deep breath to steady his nerves. Let's do this. Nora looked at him with an intensity that made his heart flutter. Thank you, David. Are you ready to begin? Yes, I am, he replied softly. The ritual commenced with a gentle circle, their hands clasped together as words of affirmation were spoken, reaffirming their bonds formed through trust and vulnerability. David felt an overwhelming sense of belonging as they expressed their gratitude for one another in both Zyphorian and human ways. As the energy around them shifted, David recognized the transition into the more intimate aspects of the ceremony. The air thickened, electric tension weaving between them. Nora stepped closer, touching his arm delicately. Now we will share our emotions, what we hope to gain from this connection, she said, her voice hushed. This is an honorable exchange. David paused, thinking carefully about his response. I seek understanding, a deeper connection beyond our worlds, a chance to explore the beauty of different cultures, and perhaps something more, friendship, affection. I yearn for connection. Nora's eyes sparkled with admiration, her hand lingering softly on his skin. As do we, David. You have already opened pathways for us. With that declaration, the atmosphere shifted again, and David's heart raced. Between deep breaths, they began the intimate act of communion, a dance of bodies and souls weaving together. He felt Nora's essence draw closer, their breaths synchronizing until nothing else existed apart from the four of them. As they moved, the other scientists embraced their roles, guiding him through the ritual with tenderness and care. They shared intimate touches, playful gestures, and whispered words that ignited sparks of intimacy David hadn't anticipated. Every sensation danced on the edges of his nerves, blurring the boundaries of emotion and intimacy. It was electric and surreal as he lost himself in their movements, captivated by their otherworldly beauty and the connection they forged. In that shared understand, David realized the depth of what he was experiencing. They weren't simply alien scientists. Together, they were forming an alliance, showcasing the beauty of love that transcended physicality and blended two cultures into one. And as the moments unfolded in a fine ballet of mutual respect and exploration, they finally entered the physical aspect of the ritual. David was swept into a world filled with euphoria, navigating through uncharted territories of pleasure that resonated with both his human instincts and their Zyphorian traditions. In that intimate embrace, with a profound understanding surrounding them like an unbreakable bond, David let go of any fears or boundaries he had previously held. He let their energies intertwine, becoming a part of their collective experience that transcended mere biology. That night merged their realities into a singular moment where species collided and united. As the ritual concluded, David lay amidst the glowing lights, enveloped in warmth and peace. The alien scientists nestled beside him, grinning with shared joy and satisfaction. They had embarked on a perilous journey from Specimen X to a participant in something far more profound. That was incredible, David breathed, feeling an unusual lightness in his heart. I never imagined something could feel like that. It transcended all my previous experiences. Nora smiled widely, her eyes gleaming with understanding. You've given us a glimpse into the beauty of human mating rituals. It was an honor to share this with you. It's hard to believe this all started with me waking up in a lab. You've challenged everything I thought about life, connection, and even what it means to love, David replied, the weight of his previous apprehensions lifting away. Zyla's voice was soft. And you have helped us explore the depths of emotion in a way we've never contemplated. Know that this journey extends beyond mere biology. It's a bond born of trust and respect. Lyra nodded, adding, this offers a new foundation for our understanding of interspecies relationships. We will take this knowledge back to Zyphoria, opening avenues for connections and future understandings. As David sat up, realization washed over him. This was only the beginning. He had become a vital part of something extraordinary, a bridge between worlds and a facilitator of understanding. Will you guys keep in touch? I mean, if I can come back to Zyphoria, or you visit Earth, that could be amazing. Nora reached for his hand, a sincere smile gracing her features. "We would love that. You have opened our hearts to new possibilities, and we wish to see where this journey leads." In that moment, beneath the soft glow of the lights, David felt a resonance, an incredible commitment that extended beyond their cultures. Together, they had melded their worlds through trust, vulnerability, and the beauty of connection. As he looked into the eyes of these incredible beings, David understood that he wasn't just a temporary study. He had forged friendships that might last a lifetime, reshaping hearts and minds across galaxies. This newfound alliance was powerful, and the journey into the unknown ensured that David would always hold a special place in his heart for the Xiphorians. With every bond defined, new beginnings awaited, a promise of further adventures, explorations, and a yearning for unity that would echo through the cosmos.